moon is dull, and so the light that we see from the moon is actually the reflection of the sun. So when there's a full moon, it just means that the moon is on the opposite side of the sun directly, so it's getting the full illumination of the sun illuminating the surface of the moon. Now, what that does is it sends out that light that emanates has its own frequency. And that's what we look at when it comes to raising our vibration. So I'm also very conscious of what the sun is doing when it comes to energy and frequency, especially during a full moon, because there is this beautiful dance with the yin and the yang and the opposites, and the fact that they're exactly aligned opposite each other. And I just love things that are aligned that are opposite. But anyway, it's my little thing. Maybe because I'm a Gemini, I don't know. But the sun basically represents, its energy basically represents the ego and the external part of us, our personality, the way we look, how we hold ourselves outwardly. The moon is more of a reflection of our inner world, our emotions, our subconscious, all those inner kind of workings that we might not show the external world, especially if we're not aligned or authentic or in a space where we feel that we can be those things. Now, our subconscious mind, which is what the moon is unlocking, our subconscious mind holds many, 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 many things. And these things we're going to call impressions. Now, these impressions some of them are true, some of them are real, some of them deserve to be in that subconscious mind because they are real and true. Some of them are not real and true. Some of them are false. Some of them are things that we just process differently and hold in our energy because we don't process it properly. Sometimes it's also other people's energy that we're holding in our subconscious mind, other people's thoughts, feelings, and ideas and perceptions. Sometimes it's really old memories. Sometimes it's traumas that we've just nicely tucked aside for maybe dealing with one day or maybe not. But either way, the full moon is extremely powerful with raising all of that energy, whether it's negative or positive, whether it is true or false. It brings it much more closer to the surface. So, hang on one sec. Hi, Nat. Got the email. So it brings it much more closer to the surface. So it brings it, in other words, it's bringing that subconscious into our conscious mind. Now, when it brings it into our conscious mind, leading up to a full moon, so yesterday-ish, maybe the night before, and then for the next day or two, this is a constant pressure where the moon's energy is bringing the subconscious to the conscious. So when that happens, we tend to feel a little bit off, or we might feel just a little bit cray-cray. We might feel emotional. We might want to talk about things that happened in the past. We might be bringing up, shit from relationships. We might be bringing up, things that, we all of a sudden just can't help but want to come out of us, and maybe we cry. I know personally, not at the moment because long story, but I know personally for me also, usually the full moon is very, well, I'm very much synced to the moon with my menstrual cycle. Sorry, boys. But sorry, not sorry actually, but the full moon is usually when I bleed. So then the new moon is when I ovulate. So there's this beautiful synchronicity as well between the forces of the moon too. And so can you imagine on full moons for me what it's like when I'm going a little bit subconscious to conscious and getting my period? Like, hello, crazy town, do not come around me near a full moon usually. So being a water moon as well, depending on what star sign you are, so I'm an air, the water has a huge effect on air signs, but when we look at the moon and the full moon, we especially look at our star sign and how the type of moon affects, the element of the moon affects our element, but then we also look at the zodiac that the moon's going in and how it affects our zodiac. So I'm a Gemini air and this is a Pisces water. Not cool, just so you know. So we look at those things when we're looking at a full moon, and we help that understand where our vibration is sitting. So mostly during a full moon, our vibration is very inconsistent, but it is usually vibrating quite low if we're having an emotional time, and quite intensely and charged if we're angry or emotional. So a full moon is a perfect time to see vibration shift quite well if you then apply some rituals or some practices over a full moon. So today, what I want you to do is recognize that the ways that I would normally affect my vibration on a full moon is through cleansing. So I will always make it a point to either have a beautiful long shower on a full moon. For those who aren't like me, you could have a bath, a huge salt bath, whether it's, and when I say a salt bath, you know, you can get Himalayan salts, you can just get Epsom salts, you can get just really good quality white salt, you know, rock salt, and just like load it into that bath. Like, just the saltier the better, as long as you're not like in gelatin floating. Like, we don't want that kind of salt. But the other thing too is, if you're close to the ocean, go for an ocean swim. But the full moon today is a perfect time to be able to focus on the cleansing using water, because it is a water moon. But I would do that on any full moon anyway. And what that cleansing is doing is, when that subconscious mind comes to the forefront in our conscious mind, a lot of the time what is sitting in our subconscious is useless for us, and it's not useful, and it's old, and it's outdated, and we don't want it to come to the conscious mind. Now, a lot of the time it's the opposite, and I spend my day helping people bring it to the conscious mind to be able to work through it and release it that way. But the full moon is a tool where we can release things that we don't really have to counsel ourselves through or talk ourselves through or process, like traumas. So bringing it to the surface, where the salt bath or the shower or the ocean swim, when you're in there, I want you to say out loud, you know, just wash away, cleanse away any energy that doesn't serve me anymore, any stagnant energy that I no longer need from my subconscious mind. If you need to have a cry while you're being cleansed, cry, because salty tears, just more salt water, is cleansing and purging. So that that kind of, I guess, symbolism of water and crying is huge around this moon in particular, but most moons in general. So that's one way that you can raise your vibration at a full moon. The other way also is simply to work with light and breath again. So breath you learnt yesterday, and today when you do some of your breath work, what I want you to add in to help raise your vibration is imagine breathing in white light from the moon. Imagine breathing in that powerful white light that the moon is emanating, and breathe it in, hold it for a couple of seconds at the top. So maybe not when you're doing your box breathing, because box breathing is focused to box breathe, but diaphragmatic breath, when you take your breath, just hold it for a second and just encapsulate in your mind, just acknowledge that the white light is covering all of that stirred up emotion, trauma, whatever it is that is brought to the surface from that subconscious. Hold it, and then just breathe it all out. Just let that white light come back out again. So we're bringing in white light, we're transmuting anything dark and negative that might be inside of us to white light, and we're sending it out as white light. One thing that us as light workers use is that belief that anything that we need to release, anything we need to get out, is that we don't want to release negative into the universe. We don't want to release negative energy out. We want to transmute it back into white energy or into love. So anything that I let go of that's anger or sadness or frustration or grief or whatever, when I send it out there, I say, and transmute back into love, or transmute into the light. So you can add that in as well. And just using that light and that breath is also another tool to be able to raise your vibration. So I want you to do that today. The other thing as well is that on a full moon, I will usually do a crystal cleanse. So raise your hand if you've got crystals. Not surprised. So for everyone that does, I want you to gather all of your crystals today and tonight and this morning, or whenever you've got time, to just put them into one central place. My idea is I will show you tonight, but Laura, I don't know whether anyone has seen it on my socials, but Laura bought me a moon box, which is just this beautiful tray-like thing with all these beautiful little sacred geometric shapes, and put your crystals in there and you just carry the moon tray out, because I got a ton. So usually just put them on plates, bowls, but just make sure that you give them their own little separate space. You don't want them all crunched up. You just want them a little bit separate. And what that does is the crystals vibrate. So then the reason we use crystals is because of their vibration. So I don't use crystals. I've got an amber necklace and an amber ring that I wear. Amber is not a crystal, it's a resin, and I can't wear crystals anymore because their vibration affects me too much. So when we use crystals, there's no point in having them if you're not keeping their vibration primo. So the way that we do that is by putting them in a full moon bath or a full moon cleanse. So you want to gather all your crystals and you want to put them outside. You want to wait until the sun's gone down or until it's not very bright sun, because sun can harm crystals. It can discolor them and it can weaken them. Some crystals don't like water, so you just got to be really mindful of what crystals that you've got. But you want to gather them and you want to have them prepared to go out into the moon tonight. Tonight I'm going to give, or actually in the email that you'll receive today, you'll get my little mantra or my little prayer or my little intention affirmation that I say to the moon to have it do what I want it to do for my crystals, which you'll see in the email, but we're not going to do that till tonight. And when those crystals get their moon bath or their cleanse, basically it recharges it charges them back into their full potency in terms of their vibration, and it brings their vibration up to the property that they are supposed to hold. And then with that property that they are supposed to hold, we can then use their vibrational properties for healing and for raising our vibration. So today I want you to cleanse in shower, bath, or ocean, and just tell the moon that you want to cleanse away anything that no longer serves you. I want you to, in your breath work, I want you to be breathing in light, hold it for a second, fill your whole cavity up with white light, fill up your brain with white light if you need to help release. And when you breathe out, just send it back out and transmute it into light and love. I want you to gather your crystals. And then I want you also just to be mindful today of anything that is coming to the surface from that subconscious mind. If you can have pen and paper handy with you today, and just, write down random emotions that kind of just seem to surface that maybe not even make sense, but just write them down. And for those of us who meditate, you will know that pattern of just recognize that it's there, acknowledge it, witness it, write it down, thank it, and ask it to move on because it's not serving you right now. But it would be great for you to have a record of the things that you're going to release tonight.